What happens when a white basketball superstar doesn't have a black villain to play against? She wins a championship, and America stops caring. The Paige Bueckers story exposes the dark truth about what really drove women's basketball's explosion in popularity. And it wasn't just amazing talent. Women's college basketball has seen two amazing stars lately, Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. Both players are incredibly talented and have changed women's basketball forever. But there's something strange happening. When Clark was playing at Iowa, the whole country watched. TV ratings skyrocketed. Yet when Bueckers just won a national championship with UConn in 2025, the excitement isn't the same. Why does one white female basketball star get all the attention, while another who actually won the championship gets overlooked? The answer isn't just about basketball skills. It's about race, media narratives, and what some basketball fans are really looking for when they tune in. Caitlin Clark's numbers at Iowa were incredible: 28.4 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists per game. She led the nation in both scoring and assists, taking Iowa to back-to-back NCAA championship games. Paige Bueckers has put up impressive stats at UConn too: 19.2 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game. While not matching Clark's numbers, Bueckers accomplished what Clark never did: winning a national championship. She also made 4 Final Fours compared to Clark's 2. Both players earned major awards. Clark was named National Player of the Year twice, Bueckers once. They shared Co-Freshman of the Year honors. On paper, both should be equally celebrated. They're not. Why? According to former NBA player Etan Thomas, the biggest reason for this difference is troubling. Bueckers doesn't have a black opponent for the media to turn into a villain in her story. Thomas points to Clark's highly publicized rivalry with LSU star Angel Reese, which became the main story in women's basketball and drove record viewership. What made this rivalry so attractive to certain viewers wasn't just basketball. It was the racial difference. The white player from Iowa against a black player quickly labeled as the villain. The key moment came when Reese made a hand-waving gesture toward Clark during their championship game, the identical gesture Clark had used in an earlier game. The public reaction revealed a clear double standard. When Clark did it, people called it competitive spirit. When Reese did it, she was called unprofessional, ghetto, and received death threats. In Bueckers' case, this element is missing. Without a black villain to play against, certain viewers just aren't interested. It wasn't about basketball. It was about the racial drama they wanted to see. Another reason for Bueckers' lack of mainstream popularity was her outspoken support for black women in basketball. At the 2021 SPIs, when accepting College Athlete of the Year, Bueckers highlighted black women in sports. She talked about how, as a white woman in a black-led sport, she wanted to shine a light on black women who don't get the media coverage they deserve. She noted that 80% of WNBA postseason awards went to black players, who received far less coverage than white counterparts. This solidarity likely alienated viewers who weren't watching women's basketball for the sport itself, but for racial narratives. While Black America cheered Bueckers' speech, mainstream white America cooled toward her. They wanted her to stay in a certain lane, and she refused. The media's role in shaping racial narratives can't be overlooked. The Clark-Reese rivalry wasn't naturally about race, but media coverage pushed it that way, using language that reinforced harmful stereotypes. By contrast, Bueckers' achievements like scoring 40 points against Oklahoma received straightforward basketball coverage. Without racial drama to exploit, these performances haven't broken into mainstream conversation the way Clark's did. Clark's career brought in viewers who had never shown interest in women's basketball before. While audience growth seems positive, it raised uncomfortable questions about what motivated this sudden interest. Many new viewers weren't genuine women's basketball fans. They knew nothing about the game's history or other players. They knew only Clark and what she represented racially. Evidence for this appeared whenever Clark tried to disrupt the racial narrative built around her. When she acknowledged white privilege or liked a tweet related to Vice President Kamala Harris, some fans turned against her, claiming she was giving in to the woke mob. These reactions showed that for some viewers, support was conditional on Clark playing a specific role in their racial narrative. When she refused, their interest diminished. Team context also matters. Clark played for Iowa, an underdog in women's basketball. This made it easier for casual fans to embrace her as a revolutionary figure. Bueckers plays for UConn, historically the most dominant program in women's basketball for decades, producing stars like Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, and Sue Bird. As sports reporter John Sears noted, Bueckers is just another great player at UConn. We've seen it before. Her extraordinary performances can feel like just another chapter in an established program. This differs from Clark's situation at Iowa, where her success stood out dramatically against the program's modest history. However, team context alone doesn't explain the full picture of Clark's unique popularity. Many players have excelled at underdog programs without generating the cultural phenomenon that surrounded Clark. Bueckers' life reveals why she might not have connected with the demographic that embraced Clark. When Clark began speaking out against racial narratives being created around her, the reaction was telling. Clark herself repeatedly rejected attempts to use her as a racial symbol. The problem wasn't Clark, but how certain fans and media outlets portrayed her and her black opponents. Clark's actual relationships with players like Angel Reese were much more respectful than media stories suggested. The beef between them was largely manufactured to drive engagement and exploit racial tensions. This put Clark in an impossible position, benefiting from attention while trying to reject the uglier aspects of why that attention existed. She repeatedly asked not to be weaponized and spoke against racism. Both Clark and Bueckers have established themselves as generational talents who have elevated women's basketball. They deserve celebration for their excellence, not as pawns in racial tensions. The fact that Bueckers has gained less attention says more about media narratives and audience motivations than about the players themselves. This reveals something uncomfortable but important. In American sports, race shapes who we cheer for, how stories get told, and which achievements get celebrated. Until we confront this reality, greatness will go unrecognized when it doesn't fit certain racial narratives. Bueckers' championship deserves the same celebration that Clark's runner-up finishes received. Her performances deserve the same highlight reels. The question isn't whether Bueckers is as good as Clark. It's whether we can appreciate athletic excellence without needing racial tension to make us pay attention. The future of women's basketball depends on the answer, because sports should be about celebrating human achievement, skill, and excellence, not using athletes as props in cultural battles. Both players deserve better, and women's basketball deserves better too. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to check out our WNBA playlist right here on the channel. We dive deep into the stories, stats, and stars shaping the future of women's basketball. Hit the subscribe button to stay updated on all our latest content. Thanks for watching and see you next time.